CodeRed selected.
What's good, guys? It's your boy CodeRed, and I am back with another one. So listen, man, this weekend has been bananas, all right? We got the beta release for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and I have been playing this game like crazy. I have been having so much fun with this game. And I wanted to do a review over the game and my experience, but I wanted to wait a little while after I had enough time playing the game. I know you guys have been starting to see quite a few reviews come up and people's thoughts, but I wanted to be one of the ones to just kind of wait. I feel like now I have played it enough to where I can give you my honest opinion about it, and just my overall experience with the beta. So I decided to break it down in 3 different sections. One, just my overall experience and my thoughts on the beta, how I feel about the game, as far as learning curve and the differences that I see in it as it compares to other games, and just my overall thoughts of the state of the game right now. The release is coming up in April, so that's right around the corner, and just where the game stands right now and how I feel, if it's ready, honestly. So kicking things off, man, let's just talk about the beta experience in itself. Obviously, the biggest issue that people have been talking about and having gripes about was the matchmaking. So early on, the matchmaking, well, at least for me, it was the first day I can remember not being able to really find anybody. And I remember because I was like, dang, this is kind of weird. I was just like, so many people shoot this. I know this was a hot beta, people were really gonna be on. I was like, why is this going on? So when I went to do some research, I started to see in different forums, the various discussions that a lot of people were experiencing the same thing. So I was like, okay, it's not me. It's not anything on my end. It's just this is going on in general. That was kind of odd to me. I know that representatives were speaking about it and how they were looking into it, and that they were going to fix the whole issue with it. But it was just, for me, I wouldn't say it necessarily put a bad taste in my mouth, because I know these things happen, right? You never can predict how things are going to go. You can have an idea in your mind and then it goes completely wrong. But in the end, this is what the betas are for, right? But it still frustrated me a little bit because I wanted to play, right? But I slowly started to get more matches. Of course, throughout, you still would get those hiccups. I would go through dead spots where it would be minutes would pass and I would be just sitting waiting, to where I would just be like, I'll just get out the room or get out of rank and come back in. And I would like to believe that that would help it sometimes, but it might just have been in my mind. Also, too, the rooms or matches within the rooms, to me, that was a very frustrating thing, because you had the ability to put in the ID number for the matches, but I was seeing that this was not working. So it made it very hard to create rooms and match up with people, because you had to go through various loopholes. Obviously, if you had people on your friends list, that would work. But little things like that, just entering an ID number if you want to have a private room match with your friend, that was not a possibility. And I was just like, well, it's there, so why is it not a possibility, or why is this such an issue? But it's just little things like that. The other thing, the drop games. People were complaining about the drop games. Now I can say with that, I can count maybe about 3 or 4 drop games. Was it too difficult? Again, this is what these things are for, right, guys? So we can't get too frustrated with these type of things, but I can understand when you just want to play, how those things feel. Other thing, obviously, and a bigger thing, was the lack of a training mode. Now, what's interesting to me about this is I can recall myself, and maybe I misread, but when there was the article that was released about the beta, there was literally, and I could be wrong, I could have misread, but it said that there would be an offline training mode. Well, when you go into the training mode section of the screen, yeah, it's training mode there, but it was just a tutorial. So it's kind of like well, you should have read the fine print type of thing. At least for me, that's how I took it. And for me, it wasn't frustrating, because it's it happens, right? This is not an uncommon practice when it comes to betas, right? But it was still like, I remember reading literally that there would be an offline training because I was hyped about it. As a matter of fact, I did a video talking about the beta and I was very hyped about that specific thing. So the fact that it wasn't there was kind of like a bummer. And the other thing, which is kind of like unrelated, I guess, but it's just me personally, it was like all the damn Terrys and rocks. And of course, I feel like you could tie, especially the rock thing, to the tutorial, because rock was the character featured in tutorial. And realistically, if you play the tutorial with rock, you can do your own outside thing and pretty much have a training mode with rock. And that's why I feel like we was running into a lot of rocks online who were playing pretty decent. I just feel like they had that time in training, so it was frustrating because a lot of stuff that I was running into with players that were playing rocks, I was just like, dude, I know if I just had time in training, I could do a lot better. And then of course, you know, Terry, because it's Terry's just who he is, right? But as far as like the beta overall, I felt like the experience was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. This is the first time I actually got to see like, I guess like the overall presentation of the game and how it's going to look somewhat, right? And it looks great. The game, outside of those minor issues, game was great. I want gripe or hang on too long with the whole training mode thing, because I know that's the thing, but it just would have been cool to have a training mode. A lot of stuff I had to learn on the fly, and I'm a fast learner, and I'm very I'm more so a visual learner, so I'll watch other people do stuff and I can register it so quickly in my mind. Like, that's just how I've always been. So it wasn't as difficult for me to catch on, but I know for some people just aren't visual learners, and it would have been great for them to apply hands-on, you know what I mean? And I wish I could have had that time too. So the overall game, like, that's the next thing, right? I can honestly say that, so this is my first SNK game that I'm really going to focus on and play. I've played SNK games before in the past, and I actually have played Garu, so it's not, you know, it wasn't too away from what I know, but I can honestly say that if you play Street Fighter, you're going to be able to play this game. If you play Street Fighter 6, they're very similar, but they are very different. The most obvious thing is the connection between the drive system and the red system. They're like dang near identical. Just different terminology, different methods about going about like accessing some of the mechanics, and different usage. But in general, a lot of those systems they're like identical almost. One of the bigger things that makes a difference is there is no drive rush type of mechanic in this game, but you have things like, you know, your drive impact. Of course, you got this rev blow. You can link. The biggest thing for me was how I'm getting used to just linking those moves together back to back to back like that. Like, that was cool to me, but it was just something that I never I don't know. It wasn't difficult, but it was just different. But the games are very similar. Now, I wouldn't go as far as saying that they don't have their differences, because they definitely do. One of the bigger things for me when it comes to SNK games is that having a Street Fighter background, I'm more used to being on the ground and staying level. So like, jumping is a huge no-no in Street Fighter. It's like the worst thing you could do in Street Fighter. This game and many SNK games, jumping is a big deal, right? It's how you generate a lot of your offense. You want to be moving a lot in this game. That was just a huge adjustment to me, the movement, because so often, you know, I just know like it's bad, right? So that was the bigger adjustment for me when it came to this game. But overall, I adjusted pretty well. I do think that people are going to pick up this game and you know, be able to jump right into it, especially if a Street Fighter background. But I think over time, this game is going to become extremely difficult. and that's just being honest. I think that execution is going to be huge in this game, and last minute execution more specifically. Like, you're going to have to like react on the fly. Like, it's not. And I know that's with fighting games in general, but with this game, I feel like that is what's going to separate you know, the casual player from the really good or competitive player. Is just, you know, being able to react on an instant, on the fly. Like this game, it has so many little intricacies and little detailed things that, you know, you honestly, the tutorial don't go, like the tutorial was simple. Like I got through it so quick, but there's things I learned that tutorial doesn't even teach you that I feel are going to be very important in this game in the long run. I just think that overall execution is going to be huge. And I think that more so where the hype and where a lot of this game is going to reach its competitive level is through the defensive side. It's just so much things on the defensive side that you have to be aware of, and just countering your opponent, because the game is so high offense that if you're not familiar with your defensive options, you're just gonna get blown up. It really is. And then you can die so easy in this game, like, which I like that, but you can go quickly in this game. Spent a lot of time playing Preacher, and she's one of the more higher damaging characters in the game. I mean, I was doing comebacks like crazy. So after having like little to no life, like two combo strings and sequences, and I was killed you. But the game is just, it's like that. And so I think that's where the defensive side is going to come in. And you got to be on your stuff, you know, with your just defense and you know, properly utilizing the SPG gauge, more specifically like the rev blow, which is pretty much just the drive impact. But just, it's so many things in this game that you got to pay attention to. The feints, the braking. Like this game is going to be so fun, but it's going to be very competitive later on. And if you don't jump on it now, especially if you're new coming over, it's going to be a hard game, I feel, to get in once the game has been around for like a year and a half. And then that's not to mention the people that have a background, you know, with playing Mark of the Wolves and you know, Fatal Fury games, just SNK games in general. Like I could tell when I was running into one of them players online. Like I could literally tell, like this dude or this girl is not from this earth. Like you could tell. So it's going to be a game that's going to be easy to pick up, but it's literally, and I know this is a little like so cliche and we say this all the time, but it's going to be a difficult game to master. I can honestly say that, but I am up for the challenge, and it's great. It's great. And I think that don't be too discouraged when you get in there. The other thing I want to say is that the rev system is going to sneak up on a lot of people, because the game, it wants you to be interactive. Like it forces you, the mechanics force you to interact with people. It's so easy to pull off the higher offensive stuff. Like once you learn how the combo system work, like how to do combos, just the start, the middle, and the ending, like your imagination can just flow. And I think that's what's gonna get people caught up, because that rev meter builds up so quick. If you're not paying attention, before you know it, you're gonna be in overheat. And what's interesting is that early on, I wasn't hitting overheat as much, but after like day 2, or during day 2 really, I started to be running into that overheat crazy fast, as well as like the people I was playing. And I could tell that the level of play had increased. Like I was playing better players and I was improving, and we were just hitting overheat so quickly before we know it, to where the point to where I had to be managing it well. While I think that being in overheat is not as oppressive as it is in Street Fighter 6, because you still have a lot of your options available to you. In Street Fighter 6, you like done. But with this game, I do feel like you do have more options. It's still not a good position to be in, because you do lose some things, like with your SPG activated, you can't do stuff like rev blow, which drive impact. But and then obviously, you know, you get into a state of like where you can be crumbled, you know what I mean, if you lose, because that activates that little bar under your life gauge. So as you're taking damage, that thing is constantly declining, you know what I mean, and you get to 0, they got a free combo on you. And in this game, you don't want nobody to get free combo on you, especially if they got full bar. They're gonna light you up. Another thing, the supers are fast. Supers are quick. Like it was points where I was playing this game and I would end a combo, and I thought that my reaction to ending my combo in like a super, or I'm just gonna say you know, my super or whatever, it was like I was like, oh, it's gonna drop, they're gonna land, I missed it. you would catch him every time. So I don't know. Those things are quick. So yeah, hope I didn't miss anything. But overall, I'm enjoying it, man. I think my overall experience with the game, I think this game is going to be really great. I've spoke about this before. So I played this game at Evo, and I can't say like, oh, this has changed, because I had a short period of time to play this game. I played it maybe 3 or 4 times, but I had it in 15-minute sessions. That was a time limit, but I can't say like, oh, there's differences here, differences there. But with me being able to deep dive into it now, I can honestly say that this game is going to be a great one. I know people have their negative thoughts about it. I've seen a couple of people, speaking about stuff, feeling that it's too easy compared to, like previous entries and things like that. But I think overall this game is going to be good. And I think that it's going to be really good, especially after that first year. I think the competitive scene is going to be crazy. And it's one of those games that, like I say, you got to jump on it now. But the experience was great. And I think people are really going to enjoy it if you haven't had the opportunity to play it for whatever reason. When you do get the opportunity, get this game, you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun. The problems that we experience in the beta, I'm not holding that against the game whatsoever, because I do think that, those things will be fixed, obviously. But just the overall game itself, excellent from top to bottom. Fun. Bottom line, the game is fun, and it's a breath of fresh air. I think that it's needed right now in the FGC, with a lot of stuff that's been going on with our top name games. And I think that this one's going to be a good one, y'all. It's going to be a good one. But anyways, guys, what do you think about the beta? Have you had a chance to play it? Who's your favorite character? Who you been enjoying? Who you liking? I've been playing a lot of Preacher, and she's so dope to me. She's so dope. A mix-up monster. And I played a little bit of Vox. I like Vox. I think Vox is going to be, I know you can't judge based off beta, but definitely going to be a top tier character. But who you guys playing? Who you plan on maining? And what did you just think about the overall beta experience? Let me know in that comment section, guys. And as always, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. All right, CodeRed and I am
CodeRed selected.